As you probably know, I have gotten to King of Games this season with Sacred Beast, but it's not free to play. The core itself is pretty cheap. It's just 3 copies of Dark Beckoning Beast and 3 copies of Chaos Summoning Beast, but I am playing a lot of staple backrow that are really expensive in that deck. But the deck still functions without these expensive cards. So here is a free-to-play version of a Sacred Beast deck. The deck actually is out for quite a long time. I believe it's like a year ago when Elemental Hero Sunrise is out. And yeah, the deck hasn't seen a lot of attention throughout the year, and I believe we could give this deck a try. So what this deck aims to do is to summon the Sacred Beast, ignoring their summoning conditions, because their summoning conditions are way too difficult to fulfill. Raviel needs 3 Fiends, Hamon needs 3 face-up spells, and Yura needs 3 face-up traps. But we are not playing those, so we're just gonna cheat them out with the Sacred Beast support that we have. And the entire deck is tied together with a skill that allows our Sacred Beast to not be targeted or destroyed by opponent's card effects, and also you can draw 2 cards every turn. So, let's go over the cards one by one. First off is, of course, our 3 Sacred Beast monsters. We're playing Raviel, Hamon, and Yuria. We need to play all 3 of them because of the skill. And I would like to remove Yuria if the skill lets me, but the skill forces you to play all 3 of them. Yuria is most likely the worst of the 3, even though it has a once per turn effect to pop set spell trap cards. It's because this card has 0 defense, and also even with the skill giving you 3 Hyper Blaze in the graveyard, its attack is still only 3000, which is less than the 4k attack and defense of Hamon and Raviel. So Hamon is probably the best of the 3. You will summon this card most of the time if you could choose to summon any one of the 3, because it has a really neat burn damage effect, and also while it is in a face-up defense position, your opponent can only target this monster for attacks, which also protects you from your 0 attack Dark Beckoning Beast and Chaos Summoning Beast if you have them on field. So, speaking of that, Dark Beckoning Beast is the main playstyle of the deck. If this card is normal summoned, you can add one of the 3 Sacred Beasts to your hand, and also during your main phase you get an extra normal summon for a Fiend monster with 0 attack and defense. So you will be using that extra summon on either Chaos Summoning Beast or Dark Summoning Beast. So Chaos Summoning Beast is a level 1. I have a prismatic copy of this card for some reason. You can tribute this card and special summon one of your Sacred Beasts from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. And then you can banish this card from graveyard to add the Fallen Paradise from your deck to your hand. Fallen Paradise is not a card that is available to us right now, but we can get it through skill. And that field spell is really, really good, as we will be able to see later when we get through the skill. Next is Dark Summoning Beast. It is level 5, so you will need a tribute. Most of the time, you will be tributing over your Dark Beckoning Beast, because this card allows you to have an extra normal summon, so you will be using that to either normal summon your Chaos Summoning Beast, or just tribute summoning your Dark Summoning Beast. You can tribute this card to summon a Sacred Beast from your deck or hand, ignoring its summoning conditions again, but it has a drawback that you cannot attack during the turn you activate this effect. So if you could, you will always choose to use Chaos Summoning Beast effect. Even though it only summons from hand, it lets you attack that turn, and also you can banish this card to grab your field spell, which is really, really strong. Anyway, Dark Summoning Beast also has a second effect to banish itself from the graveyard to add a Sacred Beast from your deck to your hand. And we are playing 2 of it because the skill requires us to play 6 0 attack and defense Fiend monsters. And since we don't have 3 copies of Beckoning Beast and Summoning Beast in this free-to-play version, we are going to play 2 copies of Dark Summoning Beast. For spells, we're playing 1 copy of Allure. This deck is kind of bricky because we're only playing 2 copies of Beckoning and Summoning. And even with 3 copies, the deck still bricks quite a lot. So Allure will help you unbrick and also just fix your hand and perhaps get you more stable back row if you have too many monsters in your hand. We're playing 2 Cosmic. We're playing 3 World Legacy Clash. This card is especially good in this deck because all of your monsters have such a high attack and defense. And also, your field spell will banish itself during your next end phase because of your skill. So World Legacy Clash can continue to protect your monsters even after the field spell is gone. And also this card helps you protect your own life points from being from taking damage because you oftentimes only gonna have a single monster on your field. So this not only protects your monsters, it also reduces your opponent's attack and defense, which protects your life points, and also during your next turn, your monster comes back and you can just attack your opponent's monster and deal lethal because your monsters do have 4,000 attack. You can oftentimes change your opponent's attack to 0 because not a lot of monsters have more than 4,000 attack. So you can change your opponent's attack to 0 and then your 4,000 attack monster comes back and you can attack that monster and you can deal exact lethal. For our traps, we're playing 2 copies of Fiend Griefing. This card is just a budget IDP. We're not playing Farfa for us to mill because the skill doesn't let us play any other monsters, but a card that we can mill is Dark Summoning Beast because it is a Fiend. So you can banish this card to add a Sacred Beast after you activate your Fiend Griefing to send it. And of course, for our last trap is Cloak and Dagger, just a really good free-to-play trap. And the extra deck is just a whole bunch of generic links. Honestly, I never use the extra deck. It's just because you can have an extra deck. So yeah, we've got Power Code Talker, Ribu Docus, Puzzlemino, Code Talker, Linkuriboh, Gaia Saber, and Link Disciple, and of course Pentastag. Okay, let's have a look at the skill. The skill is Devoured by a Sacred Beast. You can use one of the 2 effects once per duel each. The first effect allows you to return a Fiend 0 attack or defense monster to your deck to add one of your Sacred Beast from your deck to your hand. So even if you have too many of your low-level monsters, you can always just swap them with your Sacred Beast to summon with your Chaos Summoning Beast because that only summons from your hand. The second effect is to select 2 cards from your hand or face-up monsters, and that's important because you'll oftentimes have a 0 attack position Dark Beckoning Beast on your field and you want to get rid of it, so this skill allows you to do that. And then you send 3 Hyper Blaze from outside your deck to your graveyard, which gives your Uria more attack, and then you add a Fallen Paradise to the bottom of your deck. So, Fallen Paradise is a really good field spell. It's borderline broken. It's only not broken because it supports such a bad archetype. Anyway, your opponent cannot target your Sacred Beast with card effects, and also they cannot be destroyed by card effects. And also, once per turn, while you control a Sacred Beast, you can draw 2 cards for free. So, this card is a bit broken. So, to compensate for that, the skill also banishes the field spell at the end of your next turn, so you can't just like draw 2 cards every single turn until like the game ends. So you can only draw a maximum of 4 cards until the field spell banishes itself, and also because you're returning 2 cards to the deck to activate the skill, you're not gaining too much of a card advantage. But I do think this skill definitely deserves a buff because selecting 2 cards to return to your deck is quite a lot. And also, even with the broken field spell available for the skill, the deck still sees no play. So that kind of shows how the skill is still kind of bad, even if it gives you the field spell. So I definitely think this skill deserves a buff. But yeah, anyway. The skill will only activate if you have one of each of the Secret Beasts, that's why we're playing all 3. And also if you have at least 6 Fiend monsters with 0 attack or defense, that's why we're playing 2 copies of the Dark Summoning Beast. This is the expensive version. you probably have seen this deck if you watched my King of Games video, or if you looked at my community posts. But yeah, this is the expensive version. We're playing 3 of each of Dark Beckoning and Chaos Summoning. We're playing only 1 Dark Summoning because we don't want this card in our hand. We want to search it with Dark Beckoning. And then we're just playing expensive staples like Book of Moon and IDP. And the extra deck is just Nightmares with some rank 10s, and also the rank 11 that ranks on top of the rank 10. But we never use the extra deck, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so let us talk about what this deck can and cannot do. Obviously, this deck is really good at summoning very big boss monsters. All of your Secret Beasts have a really high attack, except for probably Yura, but it still has 3k attack if you use a skill. But yeah, Hamon and Raviel has 4k attack and defense, which might be really hard for your opponent to out, especially with your field spell, which protects them from being targeted or destroyed by card effects. So at least before the field spell banishes itself, your monsters will be protected against pretty much everything. But yeah, the main downside of the skill is that this field spell is banished during your next end phase. So if you still cannot win before your next end phase, your monsters will be vulnerable to just any form of removal. But because they have such a high attack and defense, they're pretty much not effective with Book of Moon or other cards that flip your monsters face down, because even if you flip them face down, they still have a ton of attack and defense, which your opponent needs to get rid of. So yeah, that's one thing that the deck can do pretty well. And also the deck has a ton of space to play back row, because your mainline combo only requires you to have a Darker Beckoning and preferably also having a Chaos Summoning Beast in your hand. And we're not playing a lot of other monsters in the deck other than those, so we have tons of space for just generic back row. And we can also draw into it pretty easily with our skill, giving us the field spell to draw 2 cards every turn. And also this deck synergizes really well with specifically World Legacy Clash. This card is really good as a free-to-play card, and it lets you OTK really easily because you can reduce your opponent's attack to 0, and then you can just attack that monster with your 4k attack monster. Another huge downside of this deck that I feel like I should mention is that it is bricky. Even the expensive version is really bricky because you need to open Dark Beckoning, otherwise you can't do anything. Even if you're opening Chaos Summoning Beast, you need another Sacred Beast in your hand for your Chaos Summoning Beast to summon. So you will need at least 2 monsters in your hand if you are having a Chaos Summoning Beast in your hand. And if you only have a single copy of Dark Beckoning in your hand, you are forced to search Dark Summoning and then summon the Dark Summoning, which means you don't get to search your field spell because you can only search your field spell with your Chaos Summoning. And that really lowers the power level of this deck a lot, because a lot of the power level of this deck comes from the field spell giving your monsters protection and also drawing you 2 cards. So yeah. And also in this free-to-play version, we are playing 2 copies of Dark Summoning, which might break. And also we're not playing 3 copies of Dark Beckoning and Chaos Summoning, which makes this deck even more brickier. So we're just gonna have to hope that Allure of Darkness gets us out of our bricks. Okay, here are some replays. I'm not going to include replays for the expensive version, because I have an entire video of me getting to King of Games with the expensive version, so you can go watch that video if you haven't already. So we're going second, which is not ideal, but we do have Dark Beckoning, so at least we didn't break. And we also have 3 copies of World Legacy Clash for some reason. Our opponent is playing Orcust, which is frustrating. So let's see how much we can do with this hand. Our opponent does get to summon the Link Free, and he's gonna revive the Galtea and get himself the draw spell. Yeah, and he's gonna activate Orcust Nightmare to mill the World 1 summon back the the Harp Horror, and then just do awkward things. And then he's gonna, of course, make Dinguzu. He's actually making Dinguzu with a link 3, which is kind of weird, actually. But anyway, we're gonna normal summon Dark Beckoning. We hope that our opponent doesn't have any disruption at this moment. Because we don't have another Fiend in hand, we're gonna use Dark Summoning instead of Chaos Summoning. Because Dark Summoning will be able to summon from deck instead of the hand. He's gonna activate Bottomless, that's fine, we're just gonna chain World Legacy Clash, reducing our opponent's attack to 0. And then Dark Summoning will get us another Sacred Beast for next turn. We're gonna set free, the Harmon comes back, and we will pass back to them. They're going to draw 2, you're going to summon the Apprentice Illusion Magician, just going to do more Orcus things. I won't bother to commentate what he's doing, but we will be cloaking exactly Dinguzu. And he doesn't summon it. Which, actually, if you're playing against Cloak and Dagger, my advice is to, sometimes you might want to summon that monster, even if it's cloaked, because the on-summon effect still activates. So even if he summons Dinguzu, before it gets banished, he can chain the on-summon effect to send my Harmon to the graveyard. But anyway, he's gonna make Rhinoceros. That card was like meta 2 years ago. I haven't seen this card for a very long time, but he's gonna attempt to pop me. We'll chain the second World Legacy Clash to reduce his attack to 0 so he can't OTK. But he is going to deal a whole lot of damage, and also prevent us from using Cosmic because we don't have enough life points, but he doesn't have an out to our Harmon, so he is going to scoop. In our second game, we are actually going first, and we are facing a Raging Pendulum, oh boy. Okay, at least we're going first, so maybe our back row will get us out of this game. We do have Dark Beckoning and Chaos Summoning, which is really good. We always want to see both of them in our hand. So we will summon Dark Beckoning, grab us a Harmon. We're gonna normal summon the Chaos Summoning using the additional normal summon, tribute itself to get our Harmon on field. We're gonna activate our skill, returning the useless Dark Beckoning from our field, plus 1 card in our hand to the deck. To put the field spell in our deck, we're gonna search it immediately, activate it, draw 2 cards, set 2 and pass. Our opponent has a Cosmic, they're gonna banish one of our back row, which is frustrating because he always has a way to pop the other one with the skill effects with Dragon Pit. So basically we don't have any disruptions left before he actually summons anything on field. So he's going to activate Pendulum Call, giving himself just all the skills he needs. He's gonna use the Earth Dragon, Dragon Pit to pop our remaining back row, so we're left with 0 disruptions. Okay, we will have to hopefully not die this turn. He's gonna Pendulum Summon for 4, he's gonna make a Dark Rebellion, and then presumably he's gonna make the Odd Eyes Raging. But thankfully, we have our field spells, so our monsters cannot be targeted or destroyed by his card effects, so he can't use Dark Rebellion on our monster, and also he can't pop it with Odd Eyes Raging, so he will attempt to activate its effect. He still gets to pop my field spell, but at least my monster still survives, and my monsters does have a lot of defense, so he can't get over it with his monster. We're gonna Dark Beckoning into Chaos Summoning, returning the useless monster in our hand for a Raviel. We're gonna Chaos Summoning Beast tribute itself to summon the Raviel. And Raviel's effect shines. We're gonna tribute the Harmon, gaining 4,000 attack, and just attacking for well over lethal. Okay, I am trying to include some losing replays in my videos, just so you get an idea of what this deck is not capable of doing, and this is one of them. I'll probably do more of these in the future, just as a more complete deck analysis and what this deck can and cannot do. Anyway, we get to Chaos Summoning Beast to summon the Harmon. We're gonna return 2 cards because we don't have the Dark Beckoning on our field, so we will have to return 2 cards from our hand. We're gonna draw 2, set 1 and pass. Our opponent is playing Salamangreats. They're gonna activate Foul, we're gonna chain Cloak because we could chain Cloak, and one good thing about Cloak is you can preemptively activate it before your opponent actually summons anything. So against decks like Salamangreat with Foul locking our back row, or Trickstars with their field spell that locks our back row, we can always just chain Cloak to preemptively declare a card name that they might summon. So at least we won't waste the back row that we have set. Anyway, he's gonna do just salad stuff, summon a whole bunch of stuff. And he's gonna, of course, summon the Gazelle. Gazelle is gonna mill the Sunlight Wolf. Mill the Jaguar. He's gonna summon another Sunlight Wolf using the Sunlight Wolf. Jaguar will summon itself by returning the Sunlight Wolf back to the deck. He's gonna also grab out the Mirror, probably for next turn. And then Sunlight Wolf will again grab back a Salamangreat spell trap. Oh boy. Okay, at least he's probably not going to make Heat Leo because I have declared Heat Leo with Cloak and Dagger. But he's going to make Ningirsu, which is arguably worse because Ningirsu is non-targeting and non-destruction, which this deck really struggles to out. So yeah, he's going to be able to send our Hamon like it's nothing because it doesn't target and it doesn't destroy, so it gets over all of protections of our field spell, like he's just going to attack. That will be lethal.